Welcome. Tonight's yoga practice is going to be Virgo yoga. Any Virgos in the room? I'm a Virgo rising. Some of you may know what that means. If you're born in late August or early September, that's you. Now, why is it relevant to all of us? Well, Virgo rules the belly and our digestive systems. And last time I checked, most of us have both of those, right? So today's practice is intended to help strengthen the belly and the abdominals and the trunk. And we're doing it today because yesterday was the full moon in Virgo. Raise your hand if anybody had a little bit of a tender belly the last day or two, like maybe just a little like queasy, or you couldn't eat the same things that you wanted to. It can happen on these days. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, it's not what you ate, it's just that you're generally more sensitive. So in a similar way, if we do things to strengthen that body part when the moon is in that sign, for example, like today, then we get sort of the extra bonus. We don't have to work twice as hard to get the benefits of that work. So that's the inspiration for today. Real quick, just to go over all the signs of the zodiac and the body part they rule so that nobody feels left out. Aries is the head, right? Head of the ram. Taurus, neck of the bull. And then comes Gemini, hands and arms of the Gemini. Those of you who like to talk a lot with your hands, right? And then chest of the crab is Cancer. Back of the heart, we did last week, Leo, lion. And then belly of the virgin, right? That's the Virgo. In a few weeks, we'll do Libra yoga, which is for the low back. That's the scales of the balance of the back. And then Sagittarius, the centaur, rules the thighs. Oops, I always forget Scorpio. Sexy Scorpio. So the sexy bits, that's sort of the groin area and all the reproductive system. And then comes Sagittarius with the thighs. The knees are ruled by Capricorn, the goat, right? And then Aquarius is the water bearer, ankles. And then Pisces rules the feet. The sun is currently in Pisces. So we'll be doing Pisces yoga, I think it's in a few weeks. And it also rules the lymphatic system. So it's going to be a flow practice for Pisces. All right, let's get started today on the back so that you can connect with the floor. Virgo is, after all, an earth sign. So let's start there with some centering. And have your feet flat on the ground with your knees bent in what we like to call constructive rest. So it's a relatively comfortable position for most people. If your tailbone's a little sensitive and you're on the wood floor, maybe bring a blanket underneath. And then go ahead and rest your hands near your low belly. Take a sigh out through open mouth and let your body get heavier. Feel yourself connected to the earth. And for a few moments, just take in, what's the feeling right now? What is it like to be you? Do you feel heavy? Do you feel cold? Do you feel light? There are no wrong answers. And then bring your attention to your breath. You don't have to manipulate your breath in any way, simply tune in. You might notice the breath and the body moving with your breath under your hands near the belly. But can you also feel your back expanding against the floor? with each breath in. Maybe your side ribs expand to the sides. You are a three-dimensional human being, so your breath is also three-dimensional. See if you can feel your whole trunk from your hips to your shoulders filling and emptying with each breath in and out. Nice. Now take your hands a little bit wider, maybe holding onto your hips or pelvis, the thumb closer to the floor and your fingers wrapped around, just a very light hold. And start to tilt the pelvis so that your low back comes away from the floor. Your shoulders and your butt are still connected, but you're arching away. So this is your reclined cow position, right? And then pull the belly in, the back will flatten as you attempt to do a reclined cat. You won't round exactly, but those actions are there, and you'll feel the belly button draw in slightly and this whole midsection kind of firm up. And then arch away again. Do your reclined cow. Maybe the belly button points towards your knees, and then pull it back into the reclined cat. And go back and forth a few times. See if you can do this a little bit quicker so it feels more fluid, so you're not focused hyper so on the action. And then slow it down so that you can feel the tightening of the abdominal muscles on that reclined cat. The next time you're in that reclined cat, your back is firm against the ground. Draw the belly in. See if your feet will come up off the floor. Now it takes holding those muscles in a little tighter, and then bring your hands off of your body towards the sky. So you look like one of those wind-up toys that landed on its back. Now you can hold here and you can relax at any point you need to and bring your feet down to take a break. Or start to walk like that wind-up toy might still be doing, keeping the belly firm. Take your right hand forward and your left hand down. Your left leg will move out of the way as well. So same arm as leg. And then switch. The slower you go, the more feelings you'll feel. And this moving of the arm and the leg in this lateral way helps to engage different parts of the trunk and the abdominals. Now, if this feels like too much for the hip flexors, keep the knees bent and maybe just move the arms. Nice. You can also have the feet on the floor. Nice. So just waking up the abdominals here. When you're ready to take a break, bend the knees and bring them into your chest. Hug yourself here. And then full body stretch, arms overhead, legs down, and take banana shape. So banana asana with your feet and hands over to the left corners of your mat. Feel the side body on the right, get a bit of a stretch. And then walk your hands and heels over to the right corners of your mat. Feel the left side body stretch. And then come back through to center. Bend your knees so the feet come flat. With your arms out to the sides like a T. Lift your bum just an inch or so that you can scoot your bum a few inches over to the right. So you're kind of cockeyed only for a moment. And then straighten your left leg down along the floor. Keep your right toes on your right knee. And with your left hand on the knee, draw the leg gently across the body for a reclined twist. Hopefully you get a couple of back cracks out of this. This feels Pretty good. All twisting through the torso here. It doesn't matter to me if your right shoulder stays down or if it lifts. It's really a matter of what feels safe and appropriate for you. All right, unwind yourself. Bring both feet back to the floor so you can shift your bum way over to the left and do the same thing to the other side. Right leg straightens, left toes to the right knee, and then the right hand on the knee to help roll over. And then come back onto your back, scoot yourself back to center, press into the feet lightly and lift the bum just so you can come into a bridge lift, not super high, mostly as a way to feel left and right, feel the strength through their legs, and feel how even here you can feel some of that strength and integrity in the trunk. And then lower yourself down and do whatever kind of shake, stretch, or squeeze feels good. We're going to do one more thing here on our back, and then I promise we'll come up to sit. So bring the feet flat on the floor again, like constructive rest. Except this time you're going to straighten your left leg down along the ground, and this is where the work is next. Pull the belly in so the low back is firm, and lift your left heel a few inches off the ground. So this is step one, which you can take any of these pieces and leave them out or put them together. If that feels pretty simple and you'd like a little bit more heat, reach your hands forward and lift your head and your shoulders up off the ground. If you want a little bit more heat, take your same side arm, so that's going to be your left arm, and reach it back. I want you to feel like you're creating this hollow body, and you might feel like there's sort of a U shape from your left hand down to the hips and out through the heel. Nice. Now switch sides, so lower your left foot, try it with your right. Lift the heel a few inches off the ground, firm up the belly muscles, maybe reach the hands forward and lift the chest away from the floor. Option to create more heat by reaching the arm away from the leg on the right side this time, same arm as leg. Nice. You are in charge of how much heat you're creating. Nice. And then lower, take a break, maybe bring the feet a little wider and swish your knees left to right a few times like windshield wipers. Hopefully we feel like we're warming up. Let's do that one more time. So you can choose this time, one leg at a time, just like we did before. Or if you want the extra challenge, take both feet out. So it's like a half boat pose. If you want the extra challenge, bring the arms up overhead. Whoo, hollow body, nice and firm, right through the middle. Take a break at any point or break it into those half ones with just the leg or just the arm. Even if you have the feet flat on the floor and you're lifting your chest with the arm back behind you, there's a lot going on. All right, take a break. Swish the knees from left to right. And then roll over onto your belly for Sphinx Pose. Let's stretch out those abdominal muscles a little bit. Feel free to change the shape of the arch. Nice. And then slide the hands under the shoulders to help yourself up to hands and knees. Here, move around in whatever way feels good. Could be a circle, could be a cat and cow. Since we haven't really had that chance to do the rounded back, we tried it on the floor. Or maybe child's pose with the knees wide. Let the belly drop between your thighs. Relax the abdomen. And feel, where do you notice temperature or heat, energy, sensation?
can you still feel your whole trunk expand, front, side, and back body as you breathe in?
And then make your way up to sit. Make sure it's a comfortable seat. So if you like a little something underneath your bum, like a blanket or a bolster or a towel, and try that. Take a moment here. You could be in a chair as well. Let your hands rest on your thighs and just notice the echo from those first few things that we did together. All right, when you're ready, open the eyes. And I want to share with you, some of you may be familiar with this, but I want to share with you a breath technique called Kapalabhati. It's a very appropriate one for the end of winter, beginning of spring, because it's heating, it's warming. And in today's theme of the abdomen, it's very much going to warm up your belly. It's one of the reasons why I suggest not to eat before you practice, and why it's especially good to do, say, earlier in the morning. But as long as you haven't eaten just before joining us today, then this should be okay for you. Another contraindication is if you're pregnant, you would want to stay away from this one just for the first few months. All right, so that's not to scare you, it's to excite you. And it's all optional. You're gonna try your best to imagine that you have a candle in front of your nose. My brother was super good at this growing up. You know, he'd try to blow out the candle in the middle of the dining room table, just using his nostrils. He managed to do so successfully. So I want you to imagine the same thing. Imagine a candle in front of your nose, take like a half a breath in, and then blow the candle out with your nostrils. Notice how you might need a tissue, but when you did that, your belly pulled in automatically, right? Kapalabhati is a series of those in succession. So it's gonna look something like this. Now you don't need to think about the inhale, because after your belly pulses in quickly like that from blowing out the candle through your nose, it's gonna automatically expand. So you're not gonna think about the inhale. Otherwise, it's called hyperventilation, which we're going to avoid at our best. So if you're with me, give it a try. You can also sit and breathe quietly. We will use this a little bit later in one of our other postures to help create heat. It's another way that you can work the abdomen without being in an abdominal strengthening kind of pose. All right, when you're ready, inhale about half or 2/3 of the way and then begin. Nice. Return to natural breath. Notice if you feel a little bit more warm in the belly. So that's a breath that you can go as slow as you like, right? Or quickly. It's totally up to you in terms of comfort and also in terms of what you're trying to do. It's really great in terms of really getting the energy to move because you're forcing the air out quickly. We'll use that again later. All right, for now, let's come onto hands and knees. And if you like a blanket under the knees, feel free. Sometimes strengthening the abdomen is easier to do when the abdomen is against gravity. This goes for everything, right? So when you're on your hands and knees, notice how your belly is the one hanging against gravity. So that's why this position, hands and knees, or for example, plank, is a very popular one to strengthen all these muscles here in the midsection. But before we do that, I want to do a little wrist prep, just so your wrists are a little bit more ready for it. So just spend a few moments walking around on your hands. You can control how much weight is on your hands based on how much weight you are carrying in your legs. And now start to walk on different surfaces of the hand. So like the pinky side of the hand, maybe there's more weight in your legs here. And you don't have to go very quickly. You can pick the hand up and put it down. And then walk on the thumb side. I know this is weird. And then try to find all the other surfaces of your finger. This is going to put your hands and wrists in different positions. Be very light with the amount of pressure that you're using unless you're already comfortable with this. Come to the back of the hand and then back around and then shake it out. Okay. Now from here, start to shift back and forth between a sort of traditional tabletop and back towards, say, child's pose. You get to choose how big this range of motion is. And part of this is waking up the wrists, yes, but also part of this is realizing that as you shift forward and your hips are no longer above your knees, your abdominals have to do this little like whoop, tightening thing because you're essentially in a modified plank. So just notice how that feels. Maybe pause as you shift forward and hold. Try to keep the elbows as straight as you can. And then go back and forth maybe 1 or 2 more times. Pause and hold. Pause and hold. Nice. Now, if this is feeling pretty comfortable and you'd like a little bit more challenge, curl your toes under and lift your hips. Stretch the backs of the legs in downward facing dog pose. Keep the elbows as straight and strong as you can. Press the hands against the floor. Feel free to walk around in the shape to warm up the backs of the legs. And then maybe you apply that same rocking principle. Shift forward, your shoulders come forward more into a plank. You can absolutely bring your knees down when you do this. And then lift your hips up and back, return to downward dog. Come forward, plank, or modify as you need. And then shift back to downward dog. Take a few more of these at your own pace. Notice what starts to wake up. The arms, legs, the belly, and the back. Now you can always return to hands and knees and keep this smaller here. Smaller does not mean less strong. All right, and then take a break, come down to the knees, maybe slide the hands back by your feet for child's pose. Give your arms and wrists a little break. And then return to hands and knees. And if you're happy with downward dog, let's go back to downward dog. Take your left leg high to the sky, three-legged dog. Shift your shoulders forward, three-legged plank. Woo, maybe bring your knee towards your nose. And then shift it back, three-legged dog. Let's do that 2 more times. If you're on your hands and knees, the same thing can be done with a little less weight on the hands. You're still strengthening the belly. Let's do 1 extra, knee to nose. And then step your left foot through to the front of your mat. So you're in a lunge. You're welcome to stay low. Otherwise, come on up high to a warrior 1 style lunge. Take your time, adjust your feet, maybe hip width distance, and slide your arms up overhead. Nice. So you're in a strong warrior 1 lunge. Now, for those of you who want the extra heat, 2 things you can do. 1 is to take the upper body and lean it forward. Keep reaching out through the fingers and down through the heel. Anytime your torso is at an angle to the floor, that's where all these muscles have to work a little harder. If anybody wants to add Kapalabhati breath, it's going to get a little bit more warm and exciting. Simply blow out through the nose forcefully. Passive inhale, forceful exhale. Nice. Come all the way back up, head over the belly, reach the hands to the sky, and then bring the hands to the floor, step back, downward dog or tabletop. Pause for a moment before we do the other side. Now lift the right leg high. Bring the knee forward towards your nose. 3-pointed plank. Lift it back, 3-legged dog. Knee to nose. 2 more. On this last one, really draw the knee up towards your nose and then step the foot through for your warrior one lunge on the other side. Take your time making your way up. And when your feet feel steady, maybe reach the arms to the sky. You can always adjust the distance between your feet, lengthwise or widthwise. And then perhaps lean forward at that angle. Notice what that feels like here in your abdomen and your trunk. And then maybe add Kapalabhati. Nice. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And then bring the hands down. Step back, downward facing dog. Take a moment here. And then walk your feet towards your hands to a standing forward bend. Maybe hands are on blocks if that feels more sturdy. And then bend your knees. Take the hands to your hips and come up strong to stand. When you get here, step wide, wrap the arms around you, and twist a few times side to side. The next time you're twisting to the left, turn this into a hip circle. Woo, anybody feeling some muscles, feeling some feelings in here? All right, turn to the other side a few times. All right, and then come up to stand. Beautiful. Bring your arms out to the side and up overhead, and bend your knees deeply and sit into an imaginary chair. Bring your hands together at your heart as you do that. And then stand up, reach for the sky, arms overhead, and then bend your knees and sit into your imaginary chair. You get to choose the height of your bar stool, but we're going to do this a few more times. So lift and then bend. The next time you bend into the chair, pause. Keep breathing though, and take your right elbow and try to touch the left edge of your mat. You're not going to actually bring it to your knee. Instead, you're going to do an active chair twist to work all these side waist muscles instead. Unwind, come back to where your chair started, and then straighten yourself out, reach for the sky. Same thing to the other side. So first you sit in your chair, nice and square, and then try to bring your left elbow to touch the right edge of your mat. Active chair twist. Unwind, stand up tall, and this is our new rhythm. So you can come back to just straightening and bending, or every time you bend into the chair, pause and then twist. You might feel a natural desire to exhale as you do that. Try a couple more. Each time, keep reaching the elbow as if it could get all the way towards the wall over there. Nice. One more to each side. And then come on up to stand. Little baby back bend, arc back. Make some noise. And then bring the hands down by your sides. Nice. Step wide on your mat. Goddess pose. So we couldn't have a virgin, right? Virgo is the virgin class without goddess pose. So bend your knees, bring the toes out at a bit of an angle, and you decide to squat. So even though this may not feel like it's very much of a belly related pose, we're not going to necessarily make it that on purpose, but just notice where your belly is in space. There's a tendency in a squat to kind of do this and stick the belly forward. So instead, draw the belly and the hips underneath you a little bit and feel like you're sitting down. Imagine your bones and your legs stacking to hold you up. And if you like, bring the arms out. Classic goddess arms with the elbows to the sides and the hands up. I'm not going to make you do Kapalabhati here, but that would be an option for those of you feeling hardcore. Nice. One more breath. Feeling the burn in the legs. And then straighten the legs. Ooh, lower the arms. And pull your feet in so that they're parallel-ish. Hands on the hips. Now hinge forward for a standing wide angle forward bend. Hopefully this feels good and spacious in the back, but also creating a bit of stretch for the legs, the back side, as well as the inside. Nice. And walk over towards whichever foot is what you consider the front of your mat, and step back to downward facing dog. Take a moment here, and then reach your right leg high to the sky, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, pull it forward towards your nose. We've been here before. Step through with the foot and come all the way up to your warrior one style lunge. Reach the arms up overhead. Bring the hands down to the heart. Lean forward at a bit of an angle, and then try to bring your left elbow across. Active twist. If you want to let it rest there on the knee, that's fine. But for many of us, it's going to be plenty for the abdominals to reach, just like we did in the active chair. Nice. And then unwind, look straight down so you can bring your hands to the floor and step your right foot back to downward dog. Let's do the same thing to the other side. Left leg lifts, three-legged dog. Bring the knee forward towards your nose. And then step through towards the hands. Take your time, walk yourself up. Reach the arms up overhead. Feel your whole torso long, and then bring the hands to the heart. Lean forward at an angle, and then active lunge twist. Unwind, look down at the floor, press the hands into the ground, and step back, downward facing dog. Now shift forward to plank. Pause and hold, a couple of options. Maybe you lower to the elbows. While this feels better for some people's wrists, you've just shortened your arms, which means it can feel a little more intense for the belly. Feel free to lower the knees. Same, but different. Try a few more moments here. Nice. And then lower your knees, lower your hips, and lower all the way down to the ground. Have your hands waiting as a pillow for your forehead. Relax the abdomen. Notice what it feels like to breathe with the belly against the ground. Nice. Now slide your hands down by your hips. Have your nose making friends with your mat. And lift one leg and then the other to create that extra inch of space in your waist. Press the low belly down against the floor firmly and start to lift the feet, the head, the chest, and the thighs, coming into upward boat or locust pose. So this is a bit more of the backside body as a way to balance out all of the abdominal work we're doing. See if you can still feel the breath, filling not just the belly, but the back and the sides of your waist. Take one more moment here. And then lower yourself down. Hands under the shoulders, press up and back to child's pose. Curl up into yourself. And this is where I love the wide knee child's pose, so that I can feel the belly kind of relax and drop between the thighs. All right, when you're ready, come on up to hands and knees. Actually, come on up to sit. Let's take a moment here. Ooh, maybe swish the knees from side to side. How you doing? All right, so from here, you're sitting. Swing your knees around so that they're off to the right. And either with your left hand out, kind of like you're lounging, and the lady is lounging, perhaps. You can stay here, absolutely. This is like side-lying Buddha pose. You can be here and be in your Buddha self. You could also bring your elbow down. So if being on your hand is bothering your wrists, then maybe bring your forearm to the floor. This does tend to create a little bit more stress, good stress, but stress on the shoulder, so you can choose. So what we're going to do is make sure your feet are staggered. If they're on top of each other, it gets kind of awkward. So they're just kind of staggered. And what you're going to try to do is push your hand or your forearm into the ground and lift your bum a few inches off the floor. Pause and hold, and hopefully you feel some feelings in the side of your waist, and then lower back down. So I've given you a task. Lift your bum, but keep your hands, feet, and knees off on the ground. Lift and hold for a little extra challenge. And try one or two more of those. Nice. Kind of awkward, but it works. All right, let's do it on the other side. Give that side a break. So swing your knees off to the other side. Decide if you want to be on your hand or your forearm. Again, the forearm can be more comfortable for the wrist, but a little more challenging for the sides of your waist. And then same thing, lift your hips and lower them back down. And it doesn't have to be very high. The holding is what creates a little bit more challenge. Nice. And once you've done a few on the other side, let's swing the legs around to the first side. And you can stick with what you know, which works, or add a little bit of a challenge. This time you're going to keep your hand or forearm on the floor and your feet on the floor, but lift your hips and your knees. Try to keep the legs squeezed together. It makes it easier, but you're going to pick yourself up off the ground with your knees coming with you. Coming down is a little bit more awkward, right? But try your best. Your right hand or your opposite hand can do whatever is required or helpful. Sometimes I like to imagine somebody pulling on my other hand in the sky. When you've done a few on that side, swing around and try the other side. And if you haven't tried these on your forearm, just for giggles, it's very different. So you can play with both. Don't worry about speed. Let's try a few of that side. And when you're done and feel complete, let's do some side lying Buddha on the first side. This is what I like to call side lying Buddha. You're just hanging out on your side, holding your head up with your left hand. Now, you could stay here a little longer or come up to your forearm. This time, stack your feet. You could still stagger them. I prefer to stack. This time it's kind of okay if you do. And then try to lift your bum. Keep your legs straight. You're in the side plank. This is where I like to hold on to that imaginary hand in the sky. And then you can either hold or you can come down. If you want a little extra challenge, take your arm up closer to your ear. Anytime you change where this arm is in space, you change the load, right? Take a break, maybe try the other side. And if you don't like being on the forearm, you can do this with the hand, side plank, with a straight-ish arm. If you take the other arm closer to your ear, it changes things, adds a bit more load and challenge to the abdominals. So try a couple moments on the other side. And if you want to explore the difference between elbow down versus hand down, try that. And then I'll give you one more thing if you want to turn up the heat. And then I promise we'll bring it down. So if you're in your side plank, doesn't matter which side, just something to play with. I'm going to be on my hand. You could be on your forearm. Take your opposite arm close to your ear, just like we talked about, but start to lift the right foot away. Now that by itself could be challenging, but then if you add some dynamic movement, try to bring your knee and elbow together. You're going to wobble, I promise, but that's part of the fun. Woo! That's part of the challenge for your abdominals. Nice. Try one or two more on that side. And then flip on over, take a break as you need. Try the other side. And there's no need to do these more challenging movements or dynamic movements if they don't work for you or if you're just not up for it. Totally fine. I'm giving you plenty of options, including none of the above. Try a couple more if you're still with me. I think I see one or two of you. Nice. And then come to neutral plank so you can lift your hips. Downward dog. Sometimes downward dog feels like a resting pose. And today might be that day. Take another breath in. Open the mouth side out. Let it go. And then escort yourself down to sit with the legs out in front. Whoo! Let's do some non-ab related things like forward fold. So bend your right knee out to the side, reach your arms up overhead, and fold over the extended left leg. Feel free to loop a strap around your foot or simply hold the floor and release your torso against your thigh. And then walk your hands up towards the hips so you can switch legs. Extend the right and bring the left knee out. Reach the arms up overhead and fold over the right leg. Walk your hands up towards your hips. Extend both legs out now. Or if you prefer a seated wide leg, you could try that instead. And then walk your hands out any amount over or between the legs. When you're ready, walk the hands up towards your belly, scoop your legs together if you have them wide. Shake it out. And then if you wish, we're gonna head down to the back. And if you want one last little belly move, boat pose is like the classic yoga abdominal move. Lean back, find your sits bones, get a little lighter on your toes. If you get here and your abdominals go, nope, I'm tired, then roll yourself slowly down. Otherwise, one more chance to lift and hold boat. You could challenge yourself by trying to straighten the legs. Often that results in the roll down. And then when you've had enough fun, go ahead and roll your back onto the floor. Prepare for bridge pose with the feet close to your hips, your hands down by your sides, and then press the feet down and lift the hips up. Squeeze the feet against the floor and feel the spaciousness now on the front body and abdomen. Feel yourself strong. And lower yourself down. Take your feet wide like your yoga mat, your arms out wide like a T, and let the knees both drop over to the left. In a reclined twist variation, hopefully you get a stretch from your right shoulder all the way down the right side towards the top of your right thigh. And then switch, bringing the knees up and over to the right. Feel your whole left side now get the stretch. Come back through to center and maybe grab the backs of your legs. For a dead bug, take the knees wide. Let them relax. If you prefer, reach for the feet for happy baby. And if there are any other movements or stretches that your body's craving, take them now. I'll tell you where we're headed in case you're ready to set up for relaxation. I'm gonna invite you to bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide in a butterfly position. Now, it's a little nicer for your legs to be able to relax if you have blocks or pillows that you can place under the outer edges of your thighs. Another option, which I love, which takes care of that and any sort of ankle discomfort, is if you have a towel or a blanket and you kind of make a squishy, not super rolly, but squishy, thin shape. You can wrap your ankles. So if you bring your knees up, take the blanket around the insides of the feet and then lift your feet just enough that you can wrap them. And what that does is catches your legs so they don't have to grip quite so much. And then you have to do this sort of odd scooching around a bit to see if that's comfortable. And if not, you can leave the blanket to the side or cover the belly with your blanket instead. Anytime you work an area of the body, it's nice to keep it warm. We'll be here in this butterfly position for a little while, and then at any point, if you'd like to straighten the legs, you may. Take one hand to your belly and the other to your heart. Make sure the elbows can rest on the floor. And take a breath in through the nose. And whisper with a hole out through your mouth, blow. Close your lips and continue to breathe in and out through the nose. And if you like, layer on this mantra or phrase as you breathe here. On your inhale, say, I have everything I need. On your exhale, say, I am enough. Continue to repeat those words softly to yourself. Inhaling, I have everything I need. Exhaling, I am enough. When you're ready to let go of the words, straighten out your legs and give yourself permission to relax. Notice the breath. And notice your whole torso move to make space for it. Your belly, your ribs, and your back. And start to wiggle, stretch, and move. When you're ready, roll off to one side and come up to a comfortable seat. Notice what it feels like to be you right now. And then bring your hands together at or maybe on your heart in thanks. Thank yourself for creating the space to practice, and thank your body for all the amazing things it can do and all of its signals to tell you to go faster or to slow down. I hope that you had some fun, and perhaps you might remember this all tomorrow with some extra feelings down in the midsection. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.